Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gift, and in this video I'll be making this beautiful crop top with ruffled sleeves. I already have a straight line on my paper which is going to serve as my starting line. So I'll be taking my vertical measurements. So I'm going to minus 7 inches. That is my shoulder to my chest line from this. So from that 7 inches, I'll be taking my measurement from my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches. From my shoulder to my under bust is 13 inches. And the length of this top is 17 inches. But I added 1 inch seam allowance to it, so I'm going to rule out straight lines on the dot I made. Note that you can take any length you want for your top. Mine is a crop top, that's why I took 18 inches for it. So on my starting line, that is my chest line, I'm going to take my bust measurements divided by 4 plus 3 inches seam allowance. Then on my waistline, I'm going to take my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches seam allowance also. And I'm going to connect the dots on the chest line to the one on the waistline. Then I'm going to cut off the excess part of the paper. Then I'm going to label my lines at the center so that you guys can see it properly. The first line is my bust point and the second line is my under bust. So on the top line, that's my waistline, I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 4 plus half an inch, which is going to give me 4.5. I just marked it down and I'm going to connect the 4.5 to the top of my paper on a straight line. So that line is going to serve as my dart line. So I'm going to be folding the dart line in like this. I'm going to fold on the line like this properly. So I'm going to be taking the necessary measurements at the middle where the folding is. On my waistline, I'll be going in by half an inch. So I'm going to mark half an inch here. Then on my under bust line, I'm going to be going in by 0.7 inch. On my bust point, I'm not going to be marking anything. At the top of the paper, that is my chest line, I'll be going in by 1 inch. And I'm going to connect all the dots together like this. Then I'm going to cut off the excess part of the paper. So this is what I have after cutting it out. So on my center front at this side, I'm going to be coming down by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect it to those points like this. Then at the center front, at the center, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch and I'm going to connect it to those parts like this. You can decide to leave it this way or give it whatever shape you want. So I'll be using the front to cut the back. This is the fabric I'll be using to cut the back. It's folded into two. I added 2 inches zipper allowance to it. So from the zipper allowance, I'm going to be placing this front pattern on it like this. I'm going to make sure the center and the side front sits on each other like this. Then I'm going to trace it and cut the back. On the zipper allowance, I'll be going out by half an inch and I'm going to connect it to the top like this. I'm going to remove the paper and cut the neckline for the back. You can trace the front pattern and cut the same neckline, or you can cut your desired neckline. I'm going to notch my zipper allowance like this. Now I'll be taking the darts for the back from the zipper allowance line. I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. I'm going to notch the dart. So I'm going to trace the dart upward like this and my zipper allowance. Then on the zipper allowance, I'll be going up by half an inch and I'm going to connect it to the side in a slanted way like this. I'm doing this because the front is always higher than the back, so I'm connecting the half an inch from the zipper allowance to this side like this in a slanted way. Then I'm going to re-notch my zipper allowance and I'm going to re-notch the dart. So I went ahead to use the paper to cut my front piece, and this is what I have. I have 3 pieces of fabric for this. One is the center front and 2 is the side front. So I'm going to place them on each other, the right side facing each other, and I'm going to stitch from the bottom to the top like this. So this is the fabric I'll be using for those sleeves. This is for one of those sleeves. The length of this fabric is 48 inches. So the length of this fabric will determine how full your sleeves will be. So I'm going to place the 2 right sides of the fabric on each other, and I'm going to run a straight stitch on both sides of the fabric. So I'm going to stitch this side as well, so I'll be able to turn the fabric to the right side. So I have another fabric the same width and length as this other one that I'll be using for the other sleeves. So I've gone ahead to stitch this, and this is what I have. So I'm going to be using my scissors to flip it to the right side. So I forgot to show you guys the width. The width is 7 inches on fold. So this is the side I stitched. This is one of the side I stitched that I'll be using to flip this fabric to the wrong side. So I'm going to use the scissors to turn it over to the right side. So I'm done flipping this to the right side. This is what I have. I'm just going to iron it. So I've gone ahead to iron this. This is what I have. I gave the center a straight gaiter to the end, and this is what I have. So this is what I'm going to do now. From the center like this, I'm going to be marking half an inch on both sides of the gaiter. I'll mark half an inch here, half an inch here. I'll keep marking to the end of the fabric. So I'm done marking the half an inch to the end. I'm going to cut this side that we used to flip the fabric to the right side open like this. So I'm going to multiply my shoulder to my chest line measurement times 2. Whatever I have there, I'm going to add half an inch to it. So I had 14, I added half an inch to it, making it 14 and a half. So that is the length of the straps I'll be using to pass through this channel I made. I ran 2 straight stitch on the half an inch we marked on both sides of the gaiter. So the width of the strap, I took a random measurement for the width, so I'm going to use my safety pin to pass the straps through the channel. So make sure if you pass the strap to the make sure as you are passing the straps through it, you secure the strap at the edge of the fabric so it will not fall in. So I'm going to use my office pin to pin it down. Then I'm going to pass it through to the end, and I'm also going to pin it down. After pinning it down, I'm going to take it to my machine and I'm going to stitch on both sides. So I went ahead to join the side and the center front, and I ironed the seam opened. I did the same thing for the lining piece. For the back too, I took in the darts on both sides. So I took the darts for the main piece separately from the lining. I took them separately. So I'll be attaching those sleeves to the front piece like this. I'm going to push the gathers down, then I'm going to place the side like this. On the side I joined the bustier, that part I'm going to place it on it, then I'm going to pin it down, then I'm going to pleat the rest on it like this. I'm going to pleat it and secure it with my pin. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the other sleeves. After pinning the sleeves to it, this is what I have. So I'm going to push the sleeves in like this. Then I'm going to place my lining piece on it. I'm going to sew the neckline first. I'm going to sew the neckline. I'm going to sew the base of the top, and I'm going to close the side. So I'm going to leave a small opening at the side so I'll be able to flip the fabric over to the right side. So I'm done stitching the front piece. So here is the opening that I used to flip it to the right side. So this is what I have for the front. Now I'm going to be attaching the sleeves to the back. Make sure you place them correctly to avoid errors. So I'm going to place it like this. Then I'm going to push the gathered part of those sleeves. Then I'm going to start joining from where my dart is starting from. Then I'm going to pleat the sleeves on the fabric like this. Then I'm going to secure it with my pin. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So after pinning the sleeves to it, this is what I have. I'm going to stitch it. After stitching it, I'm going to turn it with my lining piece. So I'm going to place it on the lining piece like this. Then I'm going to sew the neckline first. Then I'm going to sew the zipper allowance area first. I'm going to push the sleeves out on the side. Then I'm going to close the base. So here's what I did. I sewed the top, the zipper allowance area, and I left the side open like this. I pushed the sleeves there so I'll be able to sew it. So I'm going to notch the neckline like this. Then I'm going to turn it over to the right side. I did the same thing for the other side. So after I flip it over to the right side, I'm going to top stitch the opening at the side. So before I close both sides of the top, I'm going to close my zipper allowance. I'm going to run a loose stitch there so I'll be able to take in my measurement properly. So I'm going to close it. After I close it, I'm going to place the two right sides of my fabric on each other like this, and I'm going to close both sides with my measurements. So I've gone ahead to close both sides with my measurements. I added my zipper to it, and this is the finished look of the top. Thank you guys for watching.